All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the normal full MLB slate breakdown videos. It is Monday, May 13th, and we have 14 MLB games to jump into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any player props that we like in each and every one of these games as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment to see what we actually roll with. That's where all of my final plays will live. If you do want to ride with me, or if you want to fade me, all those plays are going to be in the pinned comments. Make sure to keep an eye on that. Yesterday, a really good night, both in the MLB and the NBA. We go 3-1-1. Ryan Jeffers does not end up playing, so that play gets voided. But a 3-1-1 night in the MLB, cashing that plus money Jose Urena play. It was an absolute sweat. He led up 6 hits to the Rockies. But nonetheless, we shall take it. Seth Lugo, it was a really juiced play, so I can't take too much credit for it. But that was one of my, as the more and more I looked into it, one of my probably favorite plays of the year. But nonetheless, a 3-1-1 night. The Twins' first 5 over 2.5. They just scored their runs late, but ended up being the lowest unit play that we had. So we shall take that. And you know what? We didn't do the ride of the day because I was traveling and whatnot, but let's get back to it. Use those hashtag ride of the days in the comments. If you don't know what that is, I jump on board with one person's play, then I give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. I also shout you out over on my Twitter at EvGuyBoston. If you guys do want to check me out and follow me over there. But yeah, drop your plays in the comments. I'll be posting you whether you win or loss in tomorrow's video. If you win, we celebrate and we continue to ride with your pick. If you lose, you got to face the dreaded soundboard womp womp. But guys, before we do get into it, I just want to give one more shout out here. I guess it's a shout out to myself, so more of a plug to the Ev Singleton show. We did episode 1 last week, working on episode 2 now, but we took voicemails from you guys and just reacted to some of the worst betting moments you've had. There's some amazingly funny moments in that video, so go check it out. It's pinned right to the top of our channel page. But let's jump into game number 1. We got Baltimore taking on Toronto. Baltimore, the better team, coming off of 2 wins against Arizona. They did lose in yesterday's match 9-2. Toronto coming off of, well, they've lost 7 of their last 10, but they also lost 2 against Minnesota yesterday. Again, Minnesota late runs to win that for us, the over 4.5. They lose 5-1. On the mound today for Baltimore is going to be Corbin Burns going up against Jose Barrios. This is obviously a pitching edge to Baltimore. They also have the bullpen edge, but I don't necessarily know if I'm going to totally give them the batting edge. Weirdly enough, some of these numbers just don't seem Baltimore-esque, and we're going to jump into our dashboard here. But Baltimore, 22nd in average, on base percentage, 27. This is against right-handed pitchers in the last 30 days. Toronto, I'm not, blowing smoke up here, what, but they're kind of just average and everything, I guess. They don't strike out much, which is great because Corbin Burns, obviously a high strikeout pitcher. So I do think that there could be a path to Toronto here. In fact, the way that I would do that, it may be a path to Jose Barrios over 17.5 outs for plus money over on FanDuel. You could see Caesars minus 117, DraftKings minus 120, same with ESPN and BetMGM. He's done this in, 6 of his 8 games this season, head-to-head against Baltimore, his last 2 starts, both last year. I think that there could be a little path to get some plus money action on him to just make it through 6 innings. And again, looking at this is batting versus Jose Barrios' pitch mix for Baltimore. Their worst pitch is the sinker, only 28th in runs above average. He's going to throw that over 56% of the time. So there could be some opportunity here for him to go somewhat deep into this game, and maybe that's how you would back Toronto, because as of right now, I do think Baltimore has an edge, but maybe you do want to take the flyer on Toronto plus 145. If I give a money line lean here, sure, I'll lean Toronto just because of the odds. I don't think I can really get to minus 170 for Baltimore, so by default, I'd look at that, but I think there could be some Jose Barrios potential here in this spot. And guys, we'll keep the like goal going for that dashboard. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that dashboard is completely free to everyone right now. I've selfishly admitted I want to make it just a Ballers only exclusive thing. The Ballers are the channel members here on YouTube, but I keep giving you guys like goals and you keep crushing them. So again, if you hit, let's say 550 likes in today's video, that'll be available tomorrow as well. What that dashboard does, in fact, let's take a quick second and show you. Every single game is broken out in the tabs down below, and it gives you the last 30 days batting and everything like that. Pitching, bullpen, win rates, even the pitch mix for each and every game, so you can kind of start your research off on the right foot. So 550 likes. Let's see if you can do it. But yeah, I'm going to lean towards Toronto money line. I like Jose Barrios some way, shape, or form. And then in terms of a total, I'm actually going to look at the under. I think Corbin Burns is going to pitch well, like he always does, or like he usually does, I should say. And then, like I kind of mentioned, I think Barrios has a decent game here too. So under 8, even though these two offenses have some bats in there. Next up, we have Detroit taking on Miami. I mean, I don't really like this matchup or this series. I don't know if you should either. Matt Manning on the mound for Detroit going up against Sixto Sanchez. Detroit does have the better bullpen. I don't necessarily even know if their bats are much better here. Miami actually catching a win against the Phillies yesterday. Was that in extra innings, I believe. Detroit coming off of losing 2 of 3 of their last series, but it was against Houston. I'm going to lean Detroit just because I do, like I said, have the better bullpen, and I think I'd give the slight edge of bats to them, but this is nothing that I really want to sit here and act like I'm going to love Matt Manning in this spot or even love the Detroit bats, so slight lean to Detroit. In terms of a total, it's sitting at 8 right now. Miami did have, high-scoring games against the Phillies, but they weren't the ones scoring, so it makes me a little weary to take the over here, but based on the pitchers on the mound, like forget the bats for a second, I don't know if I necessarily love anything about the under, right? Like this could just be kind of like a messy game overall where some runs come in, earned or not, forget the pitching. Like I think I have to lean towards the over ever so slightly in this one. If this was 8.5, it'd probably be like a pass because 5-4 in a sense for a game seems like you're asking for a lot. But if we can get 4-4 and then obviously some more runs have to come in there, like fine. Give me the over slightly. And then in terms of player props, nothing much that I'm looking at in this game. Mets taking on the Phillies here. Like I just mentioned, the Phillies losing yesterday. Mets taking a 4-3 win against Atlanta. That was their only win of the series, but got to give them a little Mother's Day credit there. National TV and everything. So good for them. Philadelphia, though, I think is still going to be my lean here, but like we'll continue to do, probably looking at them at the first 5 innings. The dashboard kind of shows best why I like this. So you have Chris Sanchez on the mound against Sean Manaea, both lefties. In the last 30 days, there's a clear discrepancy in what team is batting lefties better, right? And Phillies just seem to be batting anybody really well right now, but the Mets are in dead last in average against left-handed pitchers, batting just 170 over the last 30 days here. 3rd worst in WRC+, 3rd worst in both on-base percentage and OPS, 4th worst in ISO, and then slugging 2nd worst. So I do think I'm going to trust the Phillies bats here, and I like this spot. They've won. You could see the win rate down here, bottom left of the dashboard. 68.4% of their road games this year. Do I think that they're going to win? I wouldn't put their bullpen up against the Mets bullpen, I'll say that much. But for first 5, again, it's been one of the most profitable things that we've been rolling with this season. So I don't see any reason why we should get off that train. Yesterday's should maybe, hopefully help them get a little fire under their ass. And their bullpen's pretty taxed. So is the Mets. So if you do want to go full game, you can get better odds, like -115 full game money line and -125, I want to say, first 5. So maybe there's a little bit of a thing that warrants odds-wise just taking the chance for full game. Kind of something that's against the Phillies in a sense, I would say, is even back into the dashboard, you can see that they're ranked 27th. The only thing that they seem terrible at is striking out. Well, Sean Manaea on the mound, his strikeout line here is +130 on FanDuel. It's actually +110, +105 on most other books. So I'm not saying that it's a play where I think it's going to cash. He's only hit the over in 1 of his last 5 games, but that's a pretty positive expected value type number, 130 compared to 110 and even 105 on some other books. So maybe something to consider. I don't know if I get there because I just don't like the pitcher overall, but that line at 5.5 seems fairly high based on what he's done recently. So maybe the books are expecting something. But again, I don't know if I'm going to bet strikeouts against a team that I also want to win in the first 5. I'm also going to take a peek at the over in this spot because I think Philadelphia to some degree can get things going. That's probably not going to be a final play because I don't think it's going to be a two-sided affair here. I think that we saw those red numbers with the Mets looking pretty awful in the last 30 days offensively against lefties. So I do think that this could be a spot in which it's a lean. I just don't know if I necessarily get it there. If this were to be some sort of a parlay that we could throw in and make it like 5.5 for the full game, taking a sort of altered line, that may be the move. But overall, I do still lean over just because I think the Philadelphia way of winning is probably going to be like putting, maybe 5 runs on the board today. So maybe we consider their team total as well, but slight lean towards the over. All right, my Boston Red Sox taking on the Tampa Bay Rays here. Tampa's won the last 4 games head-to-head against the Sox. Red Sox won 2 straight, though they were both against Washington, so I don't want to give them too much credit. Tampa Bay lost 2 of 3 against the Yankees in their last series, which it's the Yankees. I don't want to take too much away from them. In fact, they split the last 2 games, and they scored 7 and 6 runs. So offense started to heat up. I do think, even as a Red Sox fan, this is probably a spot where backing the Rays against a team that they have had some success with. They've won 8 of the last 2 meetings. Obviously, these guys play a lot. Not this year, but they do play a lot. With Eflin on the mound, and you can get it for plus 100 odds right now. So in this spot, I would lean against my hometown team just because, again, it's kind of coming down to Eflin, and that the story might even just stop there. I'm not necessarily saying that the Red Sox have any injuries that I'm all concerned with or anything like that, but overall, just give me Tampa Bay. I know Tampa Bay has some guys, I believe, out of the lineup. They have a decent amount of injuries they're dealing with, but nothing that is worrying me because Eflin is, again, how many times do I gotta say it? Eflin's the reason that I'm taking this spot here. His last few starts against the Red Sox haven't been all that great. He's averaging 5 innings pitched, a 3 flat ERA, just 5.5 strikeouts. But his last start against, who did he pitch against? Someone bad, but he did kind of put on a masterclass. So, yeah. Give me Eflin for plus money, okay? Overall, I do think Cutter Crawford can hang in there with these inconsistent bats. So a player prop that I don't necessarily mind taking a peek at here. And again, we have a lot of plus money player props that we're liking, I guess, in today's video. But I don't mind Cutter Crawford here over 17.5 outs. He's done it in 4 straight games. Did it against Atlanta, did it against Chicago. Like some of these good bats, and even when he hasn't done it, he's come damn close. Head-to-head, you can see he's gone really, really poorly against them last year, but this is a different Cutter Crawford. In fact, a couple of these guys, Houck, Crawford, like they're having really good seasons for the Sox. That isn't all that typical. So for plus 100 odds, I don't mind this whatsoever. And by the way, guys, this tool, I'm sure going to get questions about it, and maybe some of you guys have seen me talk about it plenty because I've been partnered with Outlier for a long, long time. I'll have a link in the pinned comment for you guys to test this tool out. 7 days free. After that, to get, the player prop tool and the game research, it's just $19.99 a month. They also have a positive EV tool, which is absolutely killer. This is where I'm finding some of these great plays, like Jose Barrios outs over 17.5. Actually, that was on there. Most sportsbooks have that, at no vig odds of minus 134 plus money over on FanDuel. That's the premium service. These EV boosts, arbitrage, and middle. I think that's about $80 per month, which again, super cheap compared to some in the market. But even if you just want these player prop screens where you can come through and look at every player prop available, you get a 7-day free trial with the link in the pinned comment, and it's only $19.99 per month afterwards. One of the most price efficient tools out there for all the data that's in here. And what I like is how much they care and want to put into the tool moving forward and whatnot. So go check it out, guys. Link in the pinned comment for Outlier. But yeah, that's a player prop that I'm kind of considering there. In terms of the total, I'll lean towards the under. Again, betting on kind of the pitchers here. So I like Tampa Bay on the money line as well as both pitchers to perform, which kind of leads to slight lean towards the under. All right, Atlanta taking on the Cubbies here. Atlanta, 2 of 3 against the Mets. Again, the one that they lost was yesterday, national TV. Chicago taking 2 of 3 against Pittsburgh, and their offense started to heat up in that series. 7 runs, 9 runs, 5 runs. They are going up against Reynaldo Lopez, who has a 1.5 ERA, a 1.13 whip, 3.04 FIP with a 3.77 expected FIP today. Shota Imanaga on the mound. Again, what pronunciation, right? Your boy is finally learning how to speak. He's got a 1.08 ERA on the season, a 0.82 whip with a 2.4 FIP and a 3.26 expected FIP. So you have 2 pitchers on the mound that should be able to handle both of these offenses. Batting wise, Atlanta definitely has the edge, but Chicago's finally getting healthy. They have Bellinger back in the lineup. They have Suzuki back in the lineup today. So I do think that Chicago can compete in this game. But what I will say is that it looks like there's going to be some bad weather in this spot. 61% chance of rain, wind 11 mile an hour wind. So you have 2 good pitchers, and the weather's already looking kind of meh. I think my immediate lean goes to the under here, and I'm also going to lean towards the Braves. I know that Imanaga is a great pitcher, but I think I trust Atlanta to get timely hits against a lefty. That's been their better side so far this season, and to grab them at minus 148, and they have the better bullpen right now, I do think that that's a spot in which has a little bit of value and consideration in terms of being a final play. The biggest issue is that how bad is the weather, right? Is it like bad? Because that's what I would like to know. And even on, I guess I should say, the front of Atlanta's bullpen being better, they are taxed. But if you look at the Cubs bullpen right now, like their two setup men went yesterday, closer went yesterday, Brewer went as well, so they're pretty taxed. So I think this is a full game play for Atlanta. Best odds out there right now, actually better than what the graphics say, -145 over on ESPN. There's a chance for this to be a final play because I think you're getting good odds, one, because Imanaga's on the mound, and two, because the weather's crappy out there. But I expect Atlanta to get a few timely hits. So I'll lean towards the Braves, slightly lean towards the under. Player props, maybe even considering Shota Imanaga's under 5.5 Ks. I think he's going to have a good game because of the weather and whatnot, but this is a Braves team that last 30 days, third best K rate against left-handed pitchers. So yeah, it's a high line, slightly lean towards that. All right, White Sox taking on Washington. We can kind of fly through this one. Trevor Williams on the mound for Washington, going up against Chris Flexen. Williams has had some, obviously, quality starts, so I'll give him credit there, but this is still, to me, a messy spot. So I think I'm going to lean towards, actually, the White Sox, just because you're getting +114 odds, where I don't want to pay -140 for a Nationals team, you know what I mean? So it's by default, I'm leaning towards the White Sox, and by no means am I trying to convince anyone of that. But I don't mind the over. +100 over 8 right now seems like it could have. Like, I bet this moves to if I have a real bet on this game, it's that by the time midday comes around, it's a 8.5 total. So that's my prediction. All right, if you could bet on line movement like a stock market or something, I would do that. But I would take the over, just because I do think both these pitchers, not necessarily a masterclass performance today. I see happening. Like, Williams has been, honestly, like I said, lights out, but I still just don't feel like I trust him overall. I think he's had 2 scoreless games in a row, but for whatever reason, I just can't pay -140 for the Nationals. So White Sox slightly into the money line. I'm probably definitely not betting it myself, and then slightly lean towards the over. Next up, Milwaukee taking on Pittsburgh. This definitely has a chance to be a final play. Milwaukee on the money line. If we jump into the dash here, look at this. Like, these bats, terrible, right? Terrible even against righties on the road. Milwaukee against right-handed pitchers looking really good here. Right-handed pitchers at home, same exact thing. You're going to get a lot of fastballs from Mitch Keller, 4th best at hitting fastballs. A lot of cutters from Mitch Keller, 9th best at hitting fastballs. A lot of sinkers from Mitch Keller, 4th best, right? And even the slider, nobody's hitting righty sliders, or actually just sliders in general, better than the Milwaukee Brewers right now. So this is a fairly easy one for me, which maybe that's the problem, but I like Milwaukee here on the money line. Mitch Keller's last few starts against Milwaukee, he's been absolutely tagged as well. Last 3 starts here, Mitch Keller, dating back to last season, but even this season. We'll start with actually this season. 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 home run, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. I'll give him a little bit of credit there. The last 3 starts against this team, 6.3 strikeouts per game. So I like that. But 8 earned runs, 4 earned runs, and he's yet to get to the 6th inning. So give me Milwaukee on the money line. If you can get better odds for Milwaukee first 5, I don't mind that either. And I'm not saying that I think that this is like a discrepancy or Pittsburgh has an advantage in the bullpen area. I don't, but I would definitely trust the Colin Rea versus Mitch Keller matchup more than even leaving it up to these bullpens, if that makes sense. So let's even get updated odds really quick for the first 5, because again, best odds right now, -140 over on -142. So it's actually it was -148 when we did the graphic, -142 over on FanDuel for the first 5 innings here, money line, -138. So it might even be a better odds situation, or it is a better odds situation to do it in the first 5 if you do like Milwaukee in this spot, which I think I do. I'm also going to lean towards Milwaukee's team total over. I don't know if I want to go full game over, both teams over, like actual total, because again, those Pittsburgh backs scare me, and I'm not sitting here being like Colin Rea is going to go out there and deal, but I just can't trust those Pittsburgh bats. So I like runs here, but kind of only from Milwaukee side. So I'm going to lean towards their team total full game over as well. All right, Texas taking on Cleveland. I don't know if I'm happy to report, but going to report that this is the first day you see no Texas on the do not bet list. They were on the DNB until 5/12. It's now 5/13. So we are good to go if we want to ride with Texas. And you know what? I think we might in this spot here. If Michael Lorenzen going up against Tanner Beebe, I don't necessarily say that, I don't want to sit here and say that Michael Lorenzen is better than him, but Tanner Beebe's like letting a lot of runs come in so far this year. And I do think Cleveland has the better bullpen. So by the way, if we do ride with Texas, it'll be first 5, in the pinned comment. But I do think that there's a similarity between these two pitchers numbers wise. But when you get to the bats, Texas last 30 days, top 15 in nearly every category that we look at. Whereas Cleveland, other than strikeouts, they don't strike out all that much. So maybe even a lean towards Lorenzen, who's not the biggest strikeout pitcher, a lean towards his under. But, they just don't really seem like they're pretty much bottom, I would say bottom 10 in average, WRC plus, OPS, slugging, ISO, that type of thing. Sliso, that's a new stat. But you know what I mean? Like, I just don't necessarily look at this and say, okay, well, Cleveland's going to be able to tag Lorenzen. I think there's a chance that Texas could put up some runs here against Tanner Beebe. So I'm going to lean towards Texas in this spot, minus 115. But it's going to be, like I said, probably first 5, because I don't want to get to Cleveland's bullpen, regardless of if they've had multiple guys pitch or not, anything like that. Like, this is a Texas bullpen that I have no interest in, putting a lot of faith behind. And I think Cleveland's bullpen, I don't have it in my notes, but I think Cleveland's bullpen's fairly rested overall. So give me Texas in the first 5. You're probably paying a little bit more juice because the books know that, that's probably the better and more calculated play. In terms of a total, I'll lean towards the over, even though I don't trust these Cleveland bats. I think this could be a 5-4 type of a game today. So I like that spot. And like I said, I guess a slight lean towards Lorenzen's under in strikeouts. And I'd also consider backing Tanner Beebe's under 15.5 outs for plus 106 odds. Really good market value over on FanDuel. Guys, that's why having multiple sportsbooks is so important, right? Getting those odds. But he's hit the under here in 3 of his last 4 starts. And honestly, Boston, LA, and Detroit, I'm not going to sit here and say that those offenses are way worse than Texas, but they're kind of worse than Texas, so I think Texas should be able to get to him. Oakland and Atlanta were the 2 teams that he hit the over against, which is kind of crazy. But nonetheless, I think using those 3 as an example, he could pitch, 5 in a third today instead of going up and over that line. But keep an eye on the pinned comment for any of those plays listed as final plays. Obviously, these are just spots that I do really like and I'm considering, so you should too. But, in terms of locking them in, keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if you want to see if I'm actually rolling with it. All right, Houston taking on Oakland. I'm sounding the psycho alert alarm. Is there a path to Oakland here? I mean, the odds you're getting are absolutely crazy. Plus 160 right now over on Caesars. And I don't necessarily look at this. If we jump into the dashboard, first glance, I don't necessarily see like definitely an edge towards Houston batting wise, even though it doesn't look it, but 6th best average. And they're only a few points behind, the Oakland Athletics here against righties last 30 days. So this looks better because it's a deeper green, but realistically 6-10, 8-12, 8-14. 6 to, you know what I mean? It's a little closer than it might look overall, but the pitching is what I look at and I say, okay, I don't like Ross Stripling as much as the next guy, right? But Spencer Spaghetti Arrieta has not done much, and Oakland their bullpen's actually peeled back in the last few days, but has a better bullpen and has had a better bullpen here. My one, I guess, concern I would say is that look at the pitches that Ross Stripling's going to throw. He's going to go fastball, sinker, slider. Houston crushes fastballs, crushes sinkers, crushes sliders, so I get it if you're like, that is crazy. Obviously, I just sounded the psycho alert alarm, right? But I don't think I can really get myself to minus 185 pulling the trigger here for Houston. So maybe the way that we could even look at this is a potential play of Oakland plus 0.5 in the first 5. But I almost would consider them plus 1.5 as well full game because I think they have the better bullpen. But I just wonder if Houston's going to kind of go off against Stripling. So it's a psycho alert alarm drop because it's crazy that I'm even leaning towards Oakland. But before you go and run with Oakland, just know that this is a lean because, again, it's price-based, right? I don't think Oakland's all that, geared up and better than, say, Houston in general. But damn, that price for Houston seems like it's overpriced, whereas it seems like there could be some set it and forget it potential with Oakland at plus 160. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. We've done crazier. I don't know if we get there today. We've done crazier though. In terms of the total, I have to lean towards the over, as weird as that sounds, because Ross Stripling I don't like, and then spaghetti and meatballs there is not all that great, right? 8.44 ERA this season, a FIP of 5.22. I'll lean towards the over, even though it's a high number. I wish it was at 8 or 8.5, obviously. But yeah, give me the over. All right, Angels taking on St. Louis. This is another matchup that I really don't have much, I guess, of a strong opinion on. The St. Louis team has lost 8 of their last 10. Angels have lost 6 of their last 10 here, which their competition hasn't been crazy tough. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, so I'm not going to say that they've had bad competition, whereas the last 2 series for St. Louis have been pretty tough. Milwaukee, New York. I guess I'll lean towards St. Louis here on the road. It's pretty much a pick 'em. Minus 110 odds right now for the Angels over on FanDuel. Minus 104 on FanDuel for St. Louis as well. Angels have only won 26.3% of their home games. Yeah, give me the pick 'em of St. Louis here. Seems pretty color symmetry style, symmetrical, I guess, in terms of the model too. Matthew Liberatore on the mound for St. Louis, going up against Jose Soriano. Neither pitcher is all that, juiced up and in my opinion, and a stud sort of back-worthy pitcher. So slight lean towards St. Louis here. In terms of a total, like I just said, neither pitcher really has, I would say, the juice in this one. I don't see a huge edge, but both offenses are kind of meh as of right now. And this is sitting at 8.5. St. Louis on the season averaging 3.5 runs for, and LA averaging 4.15. So if they just do what they've been doing all year long, this leads to an under, so I'm going to slightly lean towards the under as well. The bullpens kind of scare me, not necessarily St. Louis's, but the Angels have a 4.87 ERA out of the bullpen, but both of these whips in the bullpen are pretty good, 1.21 for St. Louis and 1.26 for the Angels, so hopefully the bullpens can kind of keep it in check as well. Give me the under 8.5. Arizona taking on Cincinnati. I mean, we had a pretty good time fading this series last time out, right? We cashed, I think, 2 of the 3 games. We hit the under, and I think I'm going to run it right back. Jordan Montgomery on the mound going up against Graham Ashcraft. Those are sort of my concerns, I guess you could say, but both of these offenses, even just from a quick view of last 30 days, against left-handed pitchers for Cincinnati, against right-handed pitchers for Arizona, not the best of offenses. So, yeah, I think I'm going to fade those offenses and lean towards the under 8.5. The only one we lost, it was a 2. I think we bet the under in all 3 games last time they played, which was 1 series removed. And the only one that we lost, we didn't even lose. It was a push. It was a 5-4, and they scored all those runs in the 7th inning. So let's stick with the trend. Give me the under in this spot. If I had a gun to my head and had to pull trigger on the money line, I think I would lean towards Cincinnati because you're getting plus 130 odds. Arizona against lefties I would like, but they're going up against Graham Ashcraft, who is a righty in this spot. So I don't really love Arizona's bats there. Yeah, for the value, I think I would go Cincinnati. But again, overall, it's not exactly like I think that this is going to be a strong game offensively from either team. So it's tough to back a team when you're pretty much rooting for a 1-0 game in a sense. And with that sort of 1-0 game in mind, I do think that there's a little bit of a chance here for Jordan Montgomery to at least last in this game. For minus 140 right now over on FanDuel, it's a lot of juice, but a lot of their books actually have this in the minus 170s, though. So screw it. Give me Jordan Montgomery over 17.5 outs. Let's toss that in to our leans here. He's done it in 3 of his 4 starts this season. And again, look at this. Minus 140 on FanDuel. You can also get it on Prize Picks. That's a valuable play to throw in over on Prize Picks. But these other books absolutely jump. So if you're not going to throw it in on FanDuel, I don't know if I love it at these numbers, obviously. But yeah, minus 140 compared to seeing this at minus 170, which is pretty much book saying it's going to happen in a sense. I think that might be a play. If we can snag it at minus 140, that may be sort of like a, you don't love it, Ev, but you got to trust that, right? Got to trust the math and the numbers. So yeah, Jordan Montgomery over 17.5 outs. I think if this is an under game, that helps, right? San Diego taking on Colorado. Quick one here. I think San Diego is going to be the move, but it'd have to be in some sort of a money line parlay or something. I don't necessarily love them on the run line overall, but they have hit their run line when favored minus 1.5 in 6 of the last 10. So if you like that for plus money, I'm not going to stop you. I don't know if I want to trust it overall because Colorado's also covered their plus 1.5 in 4 straight games. But this is obviously a game that leans towards San Diego. But that's kind of from the offensive side. You have Randy Vasquez on the mound going up against Dakota Hudson. Anything could happen here. So I'm going to lean towards San Diego as well as the over. And let's close our eyes and pray that this one cashes. Because, again, anytime you have Colorado in there, it's like, what's going to happen? And now you throw in Randy Vasquez, who I would not, back with a 10-foot pole. Is that even a saying? Touch with a 10-foot pole? I'm not touching Randy Vasquez either. I'm not touching anybody, all right? All right. But yeah, give me San Diego, some sort of money line parlay, and maybe the over. Maybe we do parlay San Diego with their team total in the same game parlay and see what that gets us. All right, Seattle taking on Kansas City. We have George Kirby on the mound, who's putting together a decent year, going up against Brady Singer, who, like I said, from his first start when we faded him terribly, right? We took the opposite team. I forget who they played. Maybe it was like Minnesota or something. And we also took his under in strikeouts and under in outs, and he shoved it right down my throat. I got to stop saying these things. But George Kirby also has good numbers this year, but his last or his appearances against this current roster for Kansas City, it's only been 33 plate appearances, but they've tagged him for a 9.1% K rate, which we'll get to that in a second. 344 average, 344 batting average against, an expected batting average of 370 here, a WOBA of 409, slugging of nearly 600. So I think that there's some opportunity for Kansas City to get to Kirby here in this spot. So I think I lean towards Kansas City overall here. You're getting them at plus 132. Like, that's some value. The problem being, I think these bullpens are definitely two different animals. So maybe we look at this from first five. We do lose a little bit of value there. So again, plus 132 if you're looking at it for the full game. You go to plus 120 if you can get it for Kansas City first five money line. But I think that Kansas City has some opportunity here today in this spot to get to George Kirby, who I also like his under in strikeouts overall. If we look at the dashboard here, you can see this is fairly equal-ish back and forth, right? Maybe Seattle has a decent edge offensively. Pitching, fairly similar. This is what I was talking about with the bullpen down here. But strikeouts, Kansas City not striking out against righties. So, George Kirby's strikeout line at 5.5 right now. This season, he's either had very few strikeouts or he's gone absolutely off. So he's hit the under still in 4 of 8, so 50-50 to this line this year. But last time he pitched against Kansas City, which back in August last year, he had 2 strikeouts. I think it was through like 6 1/3. So it's like, that might be a nice play too. The odds, I think, are probably going to be right around minus 130 over on FanDuel. But yes, Seattle, I think there's a path to Kansas City, I should say. I was going to say Seattle's worth fading, but I think there's a path to Kansas City, backing Singer and also fading Kirby to some degree. Total, it's sitting down all the way at obviously you're looking at 7 runs here, which is a super, super low total. I understand that. So I want to lean under because I kind of think that that's the way Kansas City wins this game, by Kirby kind of getting lit up and Kansas City Singer kind of suppressing Seattle's offense, meaning we see like a 4-2 game maybe. So you should be able to tell in my voice, I don't love the total in this spot. I like all the other plays we mentioned more, but I'd slightly lean towards the under because obviously books are coming in with a pretty hot number there. So I understand that, we're not smarter than the books always. All right, San Francisco taking on the Dodgers. If you made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment 32 in the comments down below. Appreciate everyone that does that. It's my way of knowing who's making it through the full video and everything like that. So comment 32. If you comment 32, you're not a guppy. You're not a guppy. All right, let's jump into this one. We got San Francisco, like I said, taking on the Dodgers. On the mound for San Francisco is going to be Jordan Hicks going up against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I nailed that, right? All right, good. The problem here is that I think this is a Dodgers spot, but it's minus 180. So maybe we look at like a Padres-Dodgers money line type of a parlay. In fact, if we were to roll with that, I could do it really quickly. Another great thing about Outlier, again, guys, link in the pinned comment. This is the game screen, right? You can literally click on both of these. They'll go straight to your picks tab. You could see which sportsbook has the best odds. You can see FanDuel plus 128. Okay, say we wanted to do that, right? We say FanDuel, we select that. You can go add to bet slip. It's going to open FanDuel up. I don't know if I'm logged in here, but it's literally going to open FanDuel up and it's going to throw them into your bets. You don't even have to go and find these, even though these are pretty easy to find, right? Money line plays. But yeah, this for plus 127 right now could be a play that we roll with because I like the Dodgers over the Giants and San Diego over Colorado, but both their odds individually are fairly obviously kind of killer. So yeah, maybe that's a nice little parlay that we run with in a sense. 2 rivals in 2 separate games coming together to form a nice little plus 120-something parlay. Okay. In terms of a total, I like the over as well, just because I think, obviously, backing the Dodgers here, more runs the better. And I do think that they can get to Hicks, even though, like I said, he's putting together a good season. I think that they can get to Hicks. So give me the spot here. I have seen, I will say, some sites saying that it looks like, I want to say Gavin Stone is also listed as, we don't have a I guess what I'm saying, we don't have a final pitcher in this spot. So I've seen kind of a split. For the sake of this, I would hope it's Yamamoto because I trust him more, but I still don't mind the play even if it is Gavin Stone. So just keep an eye on the pitcher and maybe wait to see what that is, because I think you're going to get better odds if Stone is announced, obviously. But as of right now, I'm seeing more sites that I look for starting pitchers and more props available for Yamamoto. But the fact that we even see Gavin Stone lines available and whatnot, it's kind of confusing, right? So just keep an eye to make sure that Yamamoto's pitching. I don't think you might get better odds, like I said, and I still like this parlay, but I'd like it a lot more with Yamamoto, even if it's for less money. But guys, that is going to wrap for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Getting back to the full-length videos is like exhausting because obviously we're putting out like a 7 to 10 minute video when we're traveling. Then we come back in here and drop a 35-minute video. My brain is like, crazy, gassed after this, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.